Hello, everybody. Welcome to Word Shard.
Hello, everybody. In the last class, we did transformation of sentences. We discussed the rules, concepts, and the exercises also we did. So, over there, I see the question was I was so tired that I fell asleep. So, you see, you have to use the word TOO, too. So, you know that when you use to this side, you have to use TO2 on the other side. So, how do you frame it? I was too tired to stay awake. Obviously, when I am too tired, I cannot stay awake because I'm feeling very sleepy. So I was too tired that I could not stay awake. Clear? Okay, so I see that Yatana has tried, Konuk has also tried the answer, and it is okay if you have and I see that Yatana has got 20 out of 20 in the quiz. Very good, Yatna. And try as much as possible. I know that if you go on trying, you'll be able to answer it well. Now we will move on to angel in disguise. We did in the last to last class. From there I have discussed all the important questions that can come in your exam. So from there you write it down in your copies, all the questions and the answers is also written over there. So you just write it down from there and prepare it. You see, if you are in class 9, you will be doing it again in class 10. So it is better that you write it in a fresh copy so that you do not uh, you find it as soon as you require it, even in class 9 or in class 10. Okay, so these are also questions from Xavier Pinto workbook that you have. And I think if you have, you can tally it from there. You can see which questions are those and do it. I have some extra questions also for you, and I hope this will help you. There are no other questions which would be as important as these from an angel in disguise. And most importantly, if you do this, if you try to answer this, I think you will be done with angel in disguise. Okay, at least 2 to 3 questions will come from this. If angel in disguise come in your exam, then these questions are very important. At least 2 to 3 questions are going to come from here. Okay, so let's start with the chapter now, the questions and answers.
You see, an angel in disguise is a big chapter. Okay, it is a big story, and for class 9s and class 10s, you have this story. It will be appearing in your exam, it may come in your exam. So, I have prepared for you the most probable questions, okay, the most possible questions that may come in your exam. So I have made it in the form of reference to context, and you follow it, you write it down in your copies if you want to, because these are very important and these may come in your exam. If this chapter comes in your exam, these questions, at least 1 or 2 questions from these will be coming. Okay, so you just write down as I read it, or you can pause the video, copy it from here, and then move on to the next portion of the video. Okay, so let's start. First extract. Death touches the spring of our common humanity. This portion is a part of your text itself. This woman had been despised, scoffed at, and angrily denounced by nearly every man, woman, and child in the village. But now, as the fact of her death was passed from lip to lip in subdued tones, pity took the place of anger and sorrow of denunciation. Neighbors went hastily to the old tumble down hut in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter from summer heats and winter cold. This part is your extract. I think you have understood this part is that portion in the beginning of the story itself. You find this where this woman is dead, and people from the villages, people living in that village who used to hate her, now is coming to her house and feeling a bit is sympathizing for her. This portion. What are the questions? How did the woman die? This is very easy. The woman died of intoxication. You can also write that the woman used to drink a lot. Okay, therefore she died because of lack of control. Next, give the meaning of death touches the spring of our common humanity. What does this line mean? We become compassionate and generous even for the one who we used to hate when the person dies. What is this line? First line, you're explaining the situation. When a person is dead, you might be hating that person a lot, but when that person is no more, when that person is dead, then you feel a, a bit of you start pitying for him, or you start feeling sympathetic towards him. That is what is being said over here. Although the woman was despised by all, that means hated by all, this woman was hated by everybody in the village because of her lack of control, because he used to drink a lot. When the woman died, leaving her three wretched children, people sympathized for her. So nobody liked her because she used to drink a lot. Okay, she created a lot of nuisance in the village, and that is why people used to hate her. But when she died, leaving her children, people started sympathizing for her. They brought the children food and clothes, and also decent clothes to cover the dead body of the mother. Because they sympathized for the dead mother, they brought different things for the children and for the dead mother also. Next question. Why do you think the villagers hated the woman? The villagers hated the woman because of her lack of control, miserable life, habit of drinking alcohol in excess. These are the reasons. Most important reason is the one that I have highlighted. Habit of drinking alcohol created a lot of nuisance in the village. Somebody is drinking a lot, not taking care of her children. These qualities are not liked by people, isn't it? Number D. What kind of living conditions were the woman and the children subjected to? That means, what kind of living conditions did they have? What was their condition? What was their living condition? How did they live in their house? Okay. Was their house a good one or not? These things. The woman and children used to live miserably in a tumble down hut. See the important points I am highlighting. They used to live miserably, their life was miserable, in a very bad condition, in a tumble down hut, in a hut that was almost, it was so much damaged that it appeared that it would immediately break and fall down, which could barely give them sufficient shade in winter and summer. So the hut was so much broken and damaged that it appeared that it could not give shelter to somebody in summer or in winter. Okay. They were extremely poor, another important point. They were half fed, another point. The youngest girl, Maggie, who was hopelessly diseased, could not even see a doctor due to poverty. They were so poor that even when Maggie was so sick, she could not see a doctor. Now let's come to the second extract. Pitying glances were cast on her wan and wasted form, and thoughts were troubled on her account. Mothers brought cast off garments, and removing her soiled and ragged clothes, dressed her in clean attire. The sad eyes and patient face of the little one touched many hearts, and even knocked at them for entrance, but none opened to take her in. Who wanted a bedridden child? This portion is the extract. What are the questions? Who was glanced at with pity? Obviously, Maggie. People were glancing at Maggie with pity. Why were they doing that? Let's see. Maggie was sick. Why were people sympathizing for Maggie? Because Maggie was sick. Her spine was injured after a fall from the window. She was bedridden. People looked at her with pity, as there was nobody to take care of her after her mother's death. Her mother used to carry her from the bed. So, when her mother was no more, when her mother was dead, when her brother and sister were taken away by other people, then what will happen to this child who cannot even get up from her bed? Even her brother and sister would be taken away by Farmer Jones and Mrs. Ellis. So they will take away her brother and sister. Now who is going to take care of Maggie? There would be nobody. She would be lying there miserably. Okay. Give the meaning of even knocked at them for entrance. What is the meaning of this line? The hopeless condition of the youngest child, Maggie, made many villagers feel sorry for her. These villagers started feeling sorry for her, that okay, who will take care of this child? What would happen to her? Everybody will leave soon from this place. Then who will take care of her? Who will feed her? They were feeling sorry for her. It was decided who would take away John and Kate, but nobody said that they wanted to take care of Maggie. So there was a person, there was a farmer who took away the boy, there was another person, Mrs. Ellis, who took away Kate. And so there was nobody who said this, that okay, I'll take Maggie. Maggie's sad eyes and patient face melted the heart of many, but could not mold their minds to take sick Maggie home. So there were a lot of people who were feeling sad that what would happen to Maggie. But there was not even a single person who was ready to take the responsibility of Maggie. Okay. Number C. Which incident made the child bedridden? How did the child become sick like that? Maggie had fallen. This one you have obviously answered, in the last chap when I was explaining the chapter, you have answered. So I think this part is clear to all of you. Maggie had fallen from a window and had injured her spine. Okay, her spinal cord was injured, and that is why she was not able to leave her bed and required help to be lifted from her bed. She could not get up from her bed on her own. Okay, so she required the help of somebody else. Now we come to number D. Which shelter was suggested by one of the neighbors for the bedridden child and why? One of the neighbors suggested that the child should be sent to the poorhouse. His suggestion was that you send the child to the poorhouse. Now, why did he suggest this thing? According to him, now important points, mark the important points. According to him, the poorhouse would be a good place for somebody like Maggie, as she would be kept clean over there, she would have healthy food, and she could also be doctored. She was sick, so she would also get a doctor over there, and these things are far better for her. Why? Because her past condition when she used to live with her mother, that was even more miserable. Okay, there she did not even have proper food or proper medicine, so it is better that she goes to the poorhouse where she would be taken care of. Okay, coming to the third reference. Okay, if you have followed up to this and if you are liking the video, please do not forget to subscribe. Okay, your subscription would help me to grow, isn't it? Okay, so let's come to the third reference. It is a cruel thing to leave her so. Then take her to the poorhouse. She will have to go there, answered the blacksmith's wife, springing away and leaving Joe behind. For a little while the man stood with a puzzled air, then he turned back and went into the hovel again. Maggie, with painful effort, had raised herself to an upright position and was sitting on the bed, straining her eyes upon the door out of which all had just departed. A vague terror had come into her thin white face. This part is that portion where everybody has already left from Maggie's house, and there was almost nobody, and then Joe Thompson comes in. This portion, okay. Question number A. Who are having a conversation in the above extract? So, Mr. Joe Thompson, who was the wheelwright, was talking to whom? The blacksmith's wife. Now, what is the main topic? What is the main topic of discussion? Everybody had left the house of the dead woman in a hurry. Why they were in a hurry? Because they did not want to take the responsibility of Maggie. Even the blacksmith's wife was leaving with the rest. Joe Thompson said to her that it would be cruel to leave the sick child alone in the house. Joe Thompson had said the blacksmith's wife that, okay, you are leaving, but who would take care of this child? However, the woman immediately left, saying that she should be taken to the poorhouse by Joe if he was worried. So immediately blacksmith's wife had answered that, okay, you then go and take her to the poorhouse, and then it would be fine for her. If you are so much worried, then you go and give her to the poorhouse. The lady ran away as she was afraid to bear the burden of the sick child. Why did she run away? Why was she in a hurry? Because she was afraid that if she stays back, she'll have to take care of this child. Okay. Now, number B. Why do you think the man stood with a puzzled air? Who is this man? This is Joe Thompson. Why was this man, waiting with a puzzled air? Let's see. Joe Thompson stood with a puzzled air as he was shocked to see the ruthlessness of the neighbors. Ruthlessness means the cruelty of the neighbors. He was shocked that, my goodness, look at these people. They are all worried about their own selves, their selfish desires. They do not care for Maggie because Maggie could not help them in any way. Okay. So even the women were so hard hearted, the women were even not careful about the girl. Even they could leave the helpless child alone when it was growing dark outside only to escape their humanity. Okay. Next question is, what did he do when he went into the hovel? What did Joe Thompson do? When he went into the hovel, now important points, mark them. He bent down over the child, wrapped her with gentleness almost of a woman, very softly, in a very gentle way, gentle manner. He wrapped the child in the clean bedclothes which some of the neighbors had given her, then lifted her in his strong arms and then bore her into the air across the field towards his own house. So, three main points. First, wrapped with gentleness with the clean bedclothes. Number two, he took her up in his strong arms, and then he took the child towards his own house. Okay, do not write in points, but remember the main points and frame them in a complete sentence. Next, we'll move on to the fourth extract. See, Mrs. Thompson saw him approaching from the window and with ruffling feathers met him a few paces from the door. As he opened the garden gate and came in, he bore a precious burden and he felt it to be so. As his arms held the sick child to his breast, a sphere of tenderness went out from her and penetrated his feelings. A bond had already corded itself round them both, and love was springing into life. Now, this is the time when Joe Thompson was carrying the child to his own house. Okay. Now, why is this called a precious burden? What is this precious burden? Joe Thompson was carrying Maggie in his arms, so Maggie was the precious burden. Okay. Why was the burden precious? Now you will have to write in detail. Joe Thompson did not have a child, but he loved children a lot. Joe Thompson was childless, and even then he used to love the children a lot. Okay. When he took Maggie in his arms, a sphere of tenderness went out from her and penetrated his feelings. When he was carrying Maggie, he felt a huge amount of love for that little child. Okay. He started caring for her. She was like his child, who can be a great responsibility, but also very precious and never an irritating burden that one hates to carry. This is a very important line. See, you are also a responsibility to your parents, isn't it? Your parents, your responsibility is what your parents need to bear, isn't it? However, it is not an irritable burden. You are not an irritating burden to your parents. Okay. You Obviously you are a responsibility to your parents, but you are a precious person, you are a precious responsibility to your parents that your parents love to carry. Okay, love to bear. That is what he's trying to say. Obviously it is a burden, it is a responsibility, but your parents love to accept that responsibility, do their duties, isn't it? It is not a burden, it is not irritable, it is not irritating to take care of you. It is a precious responsibility that they love to carry out. That is what Joe Thompson feels for the child. B. What reason did Joe Thompson give his wife for bringing the child home? What was the reason for which Joe Thompson said that he had to bring the child to his own house? Let's see. Joe Thompson said to his wife that everybody had left the hovel, leaving behind the sick child in the desolate house. Now, what are the important points in this answer? Everybody had left. Okay, and the child was sick. Then there was nobody to care for her, as her brother John was taken by Farmer Jones and her sister Kate was taken away by Mrs. Ellis. So there was nobody to care, not even her brother and sister was there. They were taken away by Farmer Jones and Mrs. Ellis. And what are the other points? He also said that people suggested him to take the child to the poorhouse. But as to admit somebody there, one had to meet the guardians, and it was already dark. He did not go there and brought the child home. Okay, so important points is everybody had left. There was nobody to take care of the sick child, not even her brother and sister. And people told him to take her to the poorhouse, but because it was already dark, because it was already evening, the guardians of the poorhouse would not be there. So it was better to bring the child home with him, and maybe next day he would go to the poorhouse and enroll the child over there. Okay. Next we'll come to number C. What was the reaction of Mrs. Thompson when the sick child was brought in? What was his reaction? What was her reaction? That is Jane Thompson, that is wife of Joe Thompson. Jane Thompson, wife of Joe Thompson, became furious. Point. Okay, furious when her husband brought home the poor, sick, and invalid girl Maggie. She was seething with anger, extremely angry because Joe Thompson had brought a sick brat. Okay, she also asked her husband to take her to the poorhouse without waiting for the next day. She also said that you go take her to the poorhouse immediately, don't wait for tomorrow. What is the second part of the question? How did her attitude change later? Yes, her attitude obviously changed. Obviously changed, and how did it change? See, Joe Thompson tried to convince her of the miserable condition of the motherless child. You can also write over here that Joe Thompson talked about how what Christ felt about young children, about the young ones. Okay, so all these things Joe Thompson told his wife, and this calmed her down. Maggie's innocent looks brought her tender maternal feelings back. The innocent looks of Maggie brought all those emotions. These emotions were not dead, they were sleeping within Jane Thompson. Because she was childless, they were slumbering or they were sleeping within her. Okay, because she did not get anybody to care for. And now Maggie's innocent looks brought all those emotions back to her. She not only gave Maggie her supper, but like a mother, sat throughout with her while she was relishing it. So she sat there as long as Maggie was eating. She even gave up the thought of sending Maggie to the poorhouse and began to take care of her. Okay. Next, the third part of the question is, what do you think brought about this change? Now, Maggie's nature, what was the thing which brought about this change in the woman? See, these are the 3 points: Maggie's nature, her patience, her gratitude. These were the three things that brought the change of heart in Mrs. Thompson, and she wholeheartedly accepted Maggie as her own child. Okay. Now these questions, I'll tell you, these questions are from Xavier Pinto. There is a book, Workbook. So from there, most of the questions are taken. Few of the questions are also made by me. Okay, so these questions, if you prepare, I hope that you'll be able to score at least. I'll tell you, at least if questions come from this part, this chapter, then you will get 2 or 3 questions common. You can get all the questions common. Most of the questions you'll get common from here, I hope. And if you have any doubt anywhere, you can write it down in the comment section. Let's move to the fifth part. This is the last extract that we will do. And in this video I have done all the questions from this chapter, so there will be no separate video from the from the same chapter, because this is all. You prepare these, you listen to the video, you listen to the explanation of the chapter that I have already made a video on. You listen to that, read the chapter properly, you read these questions, and you don't have to worry about getting good marks. I am very sure that you will be scoring well. Let's do the last one, number 5. Mrs. Thompson did not reply, but presently turned towards the little chamber where her husband had deposited Maggie, and pushing open the door, went quickly in. Joe did not follow. He saw that her state had changed and felt that it would be best to leave her alone with the child. So he went to his shop, which stood near the house, and walked until dusky evening released him from labor. A light shining through the little chamber windows was the first object that attracted Joe's attention. On turning towards the house, it was a good omen. Now, this portion is from where? At that time when Joe Thompson tells about Christ's love for children, and then he leaves the house and goes to his workplace. Okay, now he is returning. This portion. What are the questions? Question number A. Why did Joe leave his wife with the child? Now, Joe left his wife with the child. What is the reason behind that? When Joe told his wife about Christ's view on little children, she did not reply, but went inside the room where Maggie was. So, when Joe told what Christ felt about little children and people who cared for little children, she did not reply anything, but she went to the room where Maggie was. Joe left his wife with the child because he felt that her state had changed and felt it would be best to leave her alone with the child so that they could grow feelings for one another. When you are left alone with somebody, only then you start to communicate, only then you share your real feelings with that person. That is why Joe left his wife with the child. What is the second part? What did Joe see when he came back home from his shop? This part is a direct question, you already know. When Joe was returning from his shop, he saw that the room of Maggie was lit. Okay, Maggie was lying a little raised on the pillow with the lamp shining upon her face. Mrs. Thompson was sitting by the bed talking to the child. From Maggie's face, he could understand that they were talking, but there was no bitterness or pain anywhere. This is directly from the book. You will be able to answer this question. Next, we'll move to number B. Now, this question and the next question, B, C, these questions, these I've already discussed in my previous video. Okay, these are very important, the main theme, the main idea, the title. Okay, now these I have again repeated over here so that if you follow these questions, you are able to answer all the questions. Okay, all the answers. Now let's see, who do you think is the angel in disguise? Okay. So one of you were asking about this question, and this is the answer to that. See, who is the angel of the house? The story ends with the writer bestowing the status of an angel on Maggie. We all know that Maggie was the angel who had come into Joe Thompson's house disguised as a sick, helpless, and miserable child who filled all its dreary chambers with the sunshine of love. Maggie comes in like a sick, helpless child, but she fills the life of Joe Thompson and his wife with love and a huge amount of happiness. Okay. So she becomes the angel because she was the one who rejuvenated or brought to life the dead emotions of Jane Thompson. Okay. She was cruel, but now she is no more cruel because she again got back the motherly feelings within her. Okay. But there is also another angel over here. Who is that? Though this had been directly stated for Maggie, as avid readers, we should look deeper. So, if you look deeper, if you read within the lines, what you will understand, not only Maggie proved to be an angel for the childless couple, but Joe Thompson also proved to be no less than an angel for her. Joe Thompson is also an angel for Maggie. Maggie, a bedridden child, had not only lost her mother but also her siblings. So Maggie loses her sister, Maggie loses her brother, she loses her mother also. She has nobody now. So nobody in the village agreed to take in Maggie since she could be of no use to them. None of the people were ready to take her home. It is even suggested that she should be taken to the poorhouse because nobody would want to take care of her wan and wasted form. There was nobody to take care of her, so people told that you send her to the poorhouse. So this was her state. Maggie was left all alone, and it was angel like Joe Thompson who felt it to be cruel gesture. The writer had presented Joe with angel like qualities. He was the man with a tender heart who liked children. He also mentioned the teachings of Bible to his wife to be kind enough to let Maggie stay with them for a single night. Now he was the one who was the angel to Maggie. He was the one for whom Maggie got a very beautiful life. Okay. Joe Thompson took in Maggie out of sheer concern and affection, looked after her, provided her with food, shelter, and love. Maggie, who had been attributed as an angel in disguise by the writer, met an unexpected happy life through him. She got an unexpected happy life, isn't it? She would have died in that house without food or without care. She would have been in the poorhouse, but no, she was nowhere in all those places. She got an unexpected happy family through whom? Through Joe Thompson. She was the one who brought her there. The orphan, sick, bedridden child not only got food and shelter, but also parent like figures. She received parent like figures like Joe Thompson and Jane Thompson, who cared for her just like her parents. Thus, Joe can undoubtedly be seen as an angel of God who made Maggie's life worth living. She was the one who made Maggie's life a beautiful life. Next, come to the next question. How did love act as a redeemer here? Let's see. The story portrays the redeeming power of love through the character of Mrs. Thompson. Joe Thompson's wife is hard hearted at the beginning of the story. We find her very cruel. She scorns at her husband for bringing the invalid child home, but she is transformed at the end. In the beginning, we find her very cruel. We find her telling her husband that you give the child to the poorhouse. Why did you bring this sick brat to this house? Okay. Uh, but soon after that, she changes. How does this change occur? This is because of love. That is the redeeming power of love. It appears as if the woman had turned bitter earlier because of her being childless, but as soon as the love of a child touches her, she is transformed. She no longer wishes to send away the child to the poorhouse, but wants to take care of her as a mother. She wishes to take care of the child as a mother. She takes complete care of her and she does not want to send the child to the poorhouse. She is no more an irritable, ill-tempered. It would be very good if you can quote the lines like this, that she is no more an irritable, ill-tempered and self-afflicting woman, but a loving mother-like figure. The love of angel in disguise thus redeems, that means saves her. It is that love that could change uh, Jane Thompson. Okay. Next, we'll move to the last question of today and the last question from Angel in Disguise. See, identify instances given in the story which tell you about inhumanity. So, This is a story where you find selfish people and you find very people with a very good heart, selfless people. So how do you get do you get examples of selfish people over here? That is the question. Yes, we obviously get examples of these people. Farmer Jones as Mrs. Ellis depicts selfishness. Why? Because farmer takes in John to look after his farm. He did not want to take good care of John. He took away John. Why? Because John could help him in his farming work. And whereas Alice takes in Kate as a maid, okay, just to keep her as a servant, she takes away Kate. Nobody bothers to take Maggie as she's crippled. The people think only of their benefit. They only think about what would benefit them. Maggie could not benefit them in any way because she was sick, she could not help anybody, she could not serve as a servant. That is why nobody took her. And they felt Maggie could be of no use like her brother and sister, so they leave her there to die. So they left her. This is wrong. So they left her there to die. Okay. So these are the examples which show that yes, people have, there is a lot of inhumanity in people. People are selfish, and these are the examples. Okay, so over here we come to an end with Angel in Disguise. Complete explanation of chapter, then theme, title, all the important questions are discussed. So your Angel in Disguise is ready. So prepare this well, and if you, I cannot provide you the PDF because I do not have a Telegram account, and I'm not going to, and it is not possible also to provide the PDF. So what you can do is you can just pause the, it is very easy, just pause the videos and copy the questions and answers down and keep it in your copies so that anytime your school asks for it or you have your exam, you can prepare directly from it. And see, if you are in class 9, you prepare it once and this will be there in your copy and it would be ready for class 10s also. Okay, you have to prepare these in class 10 also. So keep a separate copy, write down these questions, write down whatever you feel is important, and then you are done with the chapter. Then you do not have to prepare it again in class 10. Okay, so that's all. I hope you have liked it, and if you have liked it, please comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And yes, you will obviously have one question that you'll have to answer. It would be pinned in the comment section. Okay, I'm giving that over there. Thank you. Bye bye.